Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. So I want to talk about negative YouTube comments and how you can handle it as a creator. I'm a creative coach for YouTubers, and a big part of being in your full expression and being able to feel, excited and joyful when it comes to creating authentically on YouTube is being okay with not being for some people and having some of the things you say actually really bother people and really trigger people. And it is something that if you're going to be a creator who is just really doing what they want to do, no matter what your niche is, whether you're making home decor content or talking about spirituality or doing graphic design tutorials, no matter what it is, people have feelings. They have strong feelings, and you really never know what you're gonna say that can really trigger them. And it takes so much energy to be constantly thinking about how to not hurt someone's feelings, and that's energy that could be spent creating videos and having a really good time. So I want to talk about my own journey with negative comments in this video and some of the things I've done and do when I'm engaging with creating content that I know may trigger some people. Before we get into it, Patreon people, thank you so much for your support. Y'all give me money every month and your girl loves it. Subscribers, of course, thank you. And another extra thank you. This lovely company called Otter Spirit gave me these really cute bracelets. So if you want some, Chimdi20 to get 20% off your order. All right. Let's get this video started. So I put out a video a couple of days ago, and it was all about talking to your parents and keeping secrets from them and the dynamics that can happen when you've experienced neglect and when you've experienced, a childhood that said, hey, I'm not gonna have a super close relationship with my parents where I tell them all my business, right? Many of us know what that's like, and that video especially really resonated with a lot of people, and I got a lot of really great comments on that video, which warmed my heart. Now for YouTube Shorts, what I will do is I will take clips from my videos and I'll just use that as a short, and the reality is when you take a clip, you are literally going to be taking it out of context because the context is the entire video. And I know that. I know that. But sometimes that means I'm saying something that, is in a sandwich of grace, but just the part that I'm sharing may be really triggering for some people. And so I made a clip from one section of the video where I talk about the ways that, our parents, if they had created these loving environments, then, we would feel safe talking to them, but they didn't, and that's on them, And the larger video says but we know they did their best. We know it's because of their trauma. You know me, y'all, I'm very gracious. But that one clip, you maybe wouldn't know that, especially if, I'm just being served, you're just being served this clip from the YouTube Shorts algorithm, right? And people, ooh, their feelings were hurt, And I think the thing, especially with parents, is there's already so much parent guilt. Parents know they're messing up and it hurts. They're trying their best, they're overwhelmed. And then to have a woman on the internet be like, you're dropping the ball, sweetie. It's very triggering. It's very triggering for them. And, I was just reflecting how I have been in the world of trauma healing for years now. Before that, it was not on my radar. And if you had asked me if I had any trauma, I would have said no, straight up. I would have been like, I'm fine. Look at me. I'm great, So the average person, I don't think, is super well versed in understanding their feelings and their emotions and how to be with them and release them when they come up versus acting from a triggered place. And even me, with my years of trauma healing, exploration, of course I also have a bunch of unconscious, subconscious stuff that I'm still doing and I really won't be aware of until I'm ready to be aware of it. So we're truly all in the same boat together, right? But what I think is really interesting about YouTube is that you will see sort of firsthand and you will see directed at you the ways people are still unconscious and still really just hurt ultimately. And because they don't really have a way to process their pain and to process their reactions, your comment section then becomes the place where they're doing that. A couple things really help me, in terms of handling negative comments on YouTube. One, of course, is to truly just understand this broader context, right? People are going through it, people are hurt, people are being triggered. I heard triggered defined, and I feel like it's such a evocative description of it. Being triggered is if you were to be walking in the dark and then suddenly hit an electric fence. You're already in the dark, you already don't know what's going on, and then you hit this electric fence that shocks you and jolts you and causes you all this pain. And so now you're lost, scared, confused, in pain, And of course, you're just kind of lashing out and trying to keep yourself safe. I think that example and that description is really powerful because when people are triggered and when you are on the other side of someone's sort of triggered comment, your nervous system reacts as if something real is happening in your life. We know it's the internet, we know it's YouTube, we know it's just words, but our nervous system doesn't know the difference. Our nervous system is like, there is someone in front of me right now who is coming after me. Like, I need to keep myself safe and I need to protect myself. And I think understanding that that's what's happening inside your nervous system will allow you to hopefully give yourself some grace if you're finding that you are kind of scared to talk about certain things or engage in certain behaviors or just be a certain way in your real life, but also online. Your body is like, we are in danger. This is a genuine threat. So to try to override what your body is saying with words in your head, with like intellectualization and be like, oh, it's fine. It's just the internet, da da da. Like, it's not gonna work because your body, for real, I haven't read this book, but your body is keeping the score. The Body Keeps the Score is one of those books where you read the title and you're like, yup, and you don't think you need to read the book. But I think it's one of those really good books. I watched like a YouTube summary and I was like, this is some really powerful information, and then I still have not read that book. But essentially, like, you can't convince your body that something is or isn't true because your body is like, no, this is real. So just having that context that that's what's happening is super duper helpful. The other thing that's super duper helpful, you know, and it comes from doing all the process work and presencing all your feelings and being with all the times you've been hurt and all these different things, right? The other thing that's really helpful for me is connecting to the pain that the person is feeling. And there are times when I really don't want to do this, and you don't have to do this, right? You can truly just delete the comments, and you're gonna get to that. Just delete. Like, you don't actually have to engage at all. And for me, when there are comments that I'm like, there's straight up no content in this, I would just delete it. But there are some comments, people like really take the time to express their opinion because they are truly genuinely hurt by what you're saying. They really find it harmful, and they're like, it is my due diligence. It is my responsibility to write this YouTube comment and let you know about how what you are saying is wrong, right? And for those people, I can empathize with them because it means that some part of them is really, really hurting, right? And I do believe that compassion and love genuinely heals all wounds. So I think I have the power to actually transmute what someone is experiencing through the comment that I write. And it's been really beautiful because I've seen it time and time again where someone comes into my comment section with an attitude and I literally just pour love, and by the end they are just a ball of like, oh, I just love you so much, you're so great. And I'm like, correct, that's correct. So what I'll do is I will connect to what they are sort of not saying in what they're saying. So for instance, with this video about, you know, being in your full expression and the parents not creating the container for that, someone left a comment that was like, being in your full expression doesn't even make sense. Like, just the concept they were saying doesn't even make sense to them. So that's already saying so much about this person and their experience, that the way they were raised meant that it was not normal for them in their light and in their beauty and in their amazingness. Like, children, I mean, everyone has their opinion about children. To me, children are incredible. Like, they were literally just hanging out in the spirit world. Like, they are the closest to the other dimensions. They are so amazing, so talented. They are literally the future, right? And so I think that's how children should be treated. It's like, you are literally the future. You are literally amazing. You are full of light. You are full of gifts. How can I support you, next generation, to take over the world as you rightfully should, right? But we know in reality, a lot of kids are not treated like that. And it is super heartbreaking that a lot of kids are not being poured on and not given the love that they need and deserve to be in their full expression. So if not even the concept of being in your full expression makes sense, that means in a really fundamental way, you are not seen and valued as who you are and told that who you are in your full expression is incredible, like a genuine gift and blessing. So that's really heartbreaking, right? To imagine what it's like to not experience that. And the next thing the person said was, you know, children deserve boundaries and they deserve guidance. And so that's actually, it would be doing them a disservice to not offer the boundaries and that guidance. And so what's interesting about that is that this person may be speaking as a parent, so they themselves are parenting children and doing their best to sort of create these boundaries. And my comment might have triggered the part of them that feels guilty about the job they're doing and saying, am I over enforcing the boundaries? Am I actually somehow limiting my child's expression? And or they themselves were in maybe really strict environments where they had to rationalize the many ways that they weren't allowed to be themselves by saying, this is my parent caring for me. This is my caregiver taking care of me and making sure I'm okay. And if it wasn't for this guidance and if it wasn't for this structure, things would have been so bad. So actually it's really good. And it's amazing the way we can convince ourselves of things in order to survive. Like when we're kids, we don't have the resources to survive on our own. We literally need our caretakers to make sure that we survive, right? Like it's literally life or death when we're young. If we're young and we're looking and we're seeing that our parents are dropping the ball, it is so destabilizing because we know that without them, we're not gonna be okay. Like there's not a world where we are okay, right? So we have to say, okay, it can't be them. It can't be them. And that means that we say it's about us. We turn it inwards. And then we justify their behavior because it has to make sense to us somehow. Because there's no way these parents would treat us that way if they really loved us and cared about us, right? And they have to love us and care about us, right? Like it's too much to consider. I haven't read the Britney Spears memoir, by the way. I've just heard about it and heard what's said. And I was hearing some folks reflect and they were like, what kind of parent would do that to their kids? You know, and reflecting on like the dynamic with the parents and Britney. And it is truly, like as adults, it's a lot to be with. So imagine being the kid experiencing it, going through it, you know what I mean? So that is what I can connect to when I get a YouTube comment, right? Like some people may get that YouTube comment and be like, you don't get it, it's out of context, watch the full video, you know, like all of that. But I know that if someone's coming at me with that energy, they are bringing with them all that they've been through and they don't realize it. And that's what I learned because I thought, one, I didn't think I had any trauma. But the trauma that I did have, I thought I was doing a very good job of hiding it. Truly, I was like, I'm doing a masterful job of hiding all this trauma. No. No. People can see it. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's annoyingly obvious. And so to me, I feel like the compassionate and the kind thing to do is to just say, hey, I know you can't tell that you're literally like holding back tears right now and that you think you're like hiding your pain from me. I want you to know that I see it and you're a beautiful person. And just keep it at that, you know? Now, you don't have to do that. You can just hit delete. And so I think that's the second part, right? Is to really understand that your channel and the community you're cultivating is yours and it's your responsibility, right? Ultimately. And so when people see a video and they see a bunch of negative comments, it's like going into a viper's nest. Is that a thing? It's like going into like a rat infested apartment complex. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's already clear that this environment is toxic. Why would I bring my comment? Especially if I want to say something loving or encouraging or something that really agrees with what's being said. I can tell that I'll be attacked because this environment isn't safe, so I'm gonna keep my comment to myself. So if it's important for you to create a space where people feel comfortable sharing their opinions and sharing their honest and authentic and vulnerable opinions, you have to police that comment section and delete the comments that are negative, unless you want to sort of like engage from this place of like compassion and show and model for people what that dialogue can look like. But if you don't, you're really harming your own channel because people are not gonna wanna engage and they're not gonna wanna post. And it took me a while to get there, you know, because at first I would think, oh, I need to meet every single comment, no matter how obviously like flippant and trollish it is. I need to meet every single comment with that kind of compassion. And that's an exaggeration, but like that's more towards where I leaned. And then I sort of realized like, actually, it's a kind of a waste of my energy if the person isn't ready to engage on that level. There's a quote I heard from the spiritual teacher I used to work with, and he said, you know, when you're engaging with someone and you can tell that they have a lot of stuff going on, they have a lot of trauma, and they maybe are stuck in some more lower consciousness patterns, basically. It's your responsibility as the person with the higher level of consciousness or awareness to be the loving person in that dynamic, right? Like, you know what's going on with them. You know what patterns they're in, right? So for you to kind of stoop to their level and engage with those same patterns is really unkind to you and to them, right? So it really is your responsibility to sort of elevate the conversation. As I say that, I can hear myself being like, does that sound too like I'm higher consciousness and I'm elevating the conversation? Like, I am aware of kind of how that sounds, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, when you're engaging in certain spaces, and, you know, people are saying certain things and you're just like, oop. I was watching a video and somebody was engaging with, I don't even want to get into it. I literally don't even want to get into it because I don't want to bring the energy into this video because it is so particular. And I'm like, it's not, it's not what I want to engage in, and I get to choose. You get to choose on your channel the vibe, the tone that extends to the comment sections. And by being vigilant and being intentional about the kind of comments you allow on your channel and about the ways you engage with those comments, you truly set the tone, and that is your responsibility. I totally understand why, if you're scared to sort of being your expression on YouTube and you're thinking about the negative comments as a reason, I think it's really important that you understand that that is a justifiable point of view. I remember, I think it'll be about a year ago at this point, talking to someone who's wanted to start a YouTube channel for, I think, years. I think it was the winter then, and I was like, you know, how would you feel in March if you could have this YouTube channel, right? They were gonna be a potential client, right? They ended up not being a client, and as far as I know, it's been a year and they still don't have the YouTube channel. But what was interesting is that when I kind of asked them, like, what are some of your hangups about just sort of starting, they wanted to do content that was gonna be like really research-based and really share like kind of some sciencey type stuff. And they were imagining like, what happens when I make a video and someone creates the like rebuttal video and is like basically attacking everything I'm saying. So they don't even have a channel, but they're already in the scenarios of being attacked, right? And the important thing to understand is that it is valid to be scared of that. That does happen on YouTube. And if your personal life, like your actual in real life has included instances of being actually attacked, of course you and your nervous system will not put yourself in a position to repeat that online. Like, that would be wild, right? And so understanding that there's always a wisdom to these fears we have, but we can always presence, process, and release them. And when we do, the things that used to really scare us, such as making content that would maybe be a little bit triggering for some people, becomes kind of fun. And in fact, turns into more content. Like, I knew I was gonna record a video today, and I had a couple of topics in mind. After this happened, I was like, boom, we know our day's video topic, right? It really is the gift that keeps on giving. Healing, I mean, and it's always worth it. All right, that's the video. Let me know in the comments, how do you handle the YouTube comment environment? Do you like to comment on YouTubers' channels? I have gotten so many comments from people who are like, I literally never comment, but I'm commenting on your video. And I'm like, literally, I'm honored. I'm honored. Bye.